Hello again. Well, as promised, here's the video on how to weather the track with an airbrush. You don't need a huge amount to do this, but obviously you need an airbrush. So you've got the airbrush, compressor, a bottle of white spirit and some paper towel to clean the airbrush after you've finished using it, a mask because there's no ventilation up here, and a load of paint. Right, I'm going to be weathering two lines that run down here for this video, but I might be weathering over there as well, depending on how far I get. Now the first thing you need to do obviously is move all your nice trains out of the way, unless you want to get paint all over them. The airbrushes are usually pretty good at spraying. You don't tend to get too much overspray, but I always move the trains out of the way just to be sure. Just quickly, as you can see, both 50s are now completely painted and completely finished. So here's the one you saw in the last video. This one's Furious, and we've also got 5023 over here as well, and they both look really good. The colours are coming out pretty nicely. I've just got them double heading at the moment, so I'll just quickly move them out of the way. You can see all the carriages are weathered as well. Right, here's the airbrush that I'm going to be using. This is a dual action airbrush, which differs slightly from the more cheaper conventional airbrushes, and that is that it has this sliding trigger here. Now basically what happens is you've got the paint in the brush and you've got the compressor all connected up and up to pressure. When you press it down like that, air will come out the end of the airbrush, but no actual paint. It isn't until you pull back on the stick that you'll actually get paint come out, and depending on how far back you pull the stick depends how much paint you can get. One of the reasons why I'm going to weather the track is first of all, we've got exposed wiring that you can see. It's fairly well hidden, but you can still notice it, and all the sides of the rails are too shiny. You know, the track looks very new. If you go out to any railway, all the track is generally very heavily weathered, unless it's been freshly laid. It tends to vary a lot in colour, but the general colours are sort of a brown or a black. Don't try and sort of do anything too rusty, too orangey. It tends to look a little bit unrealistic. You don't tend to get track that's really rusty and with that sort of bright orange colour, unless it's rail that's been lying at the side of the line that's been used in an emergency. The track generally tends to get brown or black due to all the brake dirt and movement of trains going past. It doesn't tend to rust because it's in use. So you can see here's a section of shiny, clean Pico track, and then if we move down you can see where I've started weathering already. And you can see it makes a huge difference. It really sort of makes things look a little bit more interesting. Put a load of black and sort of grey around the point bar as well, which just makes it look a bit nicer. This all still needs further weathering. It's not quite finished yet. Whilst weathering, generally use some thinner, and I only tend to use three colours. You've got Sleeper Grime, which is sort of a very nice dark brown. This is a really good colour for general weathering. I've got Roof Dirt, another really good colour. This is a really sort of dark grey. When I weather all of the locos, I always use Roof Dirt to dull the roof down, and got black for oil spillages and stuff, which will be needed when we get up there to the TMD or multiple unit yard, which will need a nice load of oil running down the centre of the tracks. That's generally all you need. So just quickly before we start weathering, I'll show you what I mean about the different levels of paint you can get by pulling further back on the stick. So if we come up to the piece of wood and we just press the button, you can see nothing's happening. There's no paint there at all. If we do it again, pull slightly back on the stick, we start to get a bit of paint. If we pull a lot back on the stick, we get loads of paint. So that's basically how it works. So I'll get painting. So you can see straight away it's looking a bit better already. Right, you can see it's looking better already. Those of you who watched my video where I wired up electrofrog points will be aware that it doesn't matter how dirty I get the rails. So if you're just using conventional points, don't spray them like I'm about to. You'll need to mask them up to make sure they still work properly. Mine's all done using wires underneath the track, so it's not a problem to spray the sides of the rail. So as you can see already, we've made a big improvement, and that's just with applying the sleeper grime. There's a few other colours to go yet. As you can see over here, track is all nice and clean. Doesn't look as good over here. It's grimy, but it's not overly grimy. The ballast is still clean in between the two tracks, and it still looks acceptable. So carry on. Right, I've been painting some more, and we're still only using the sleeper grime. I haven't changed to any of the brown, the blacks or the greys yet, just the brown at the moment. And we've done all inside here, just giving the rails a general coating down there. All the point works come up nicely, goes all the way down here, and then of course there's the bit I did at the beginning. I've also brung it down this way, and I've gone over where the freeway point is. Right, so the next thing to do is to put a load of oil spillages down the centre of this TMD, perhaps one or two around here, and generally just go over all of it with a very light coat of the grey or the black. That will just dull it down a little bit and get rid of some of the oranginess that we've got from the brown. It's a little bit too brown at the moment. It'll also make certain areas stand out and differ from other parts of the track. All the paint that's sitting on the top of the rails will just be cleaned off with the track rubber, and then I'll use the CMX cleaning wagon just to make sure everything is nice and squeaky clean again, and then I'll check everything works, and then it's pretty much weathered and done. So you can see I've got the roof dirt and the black out, and started dulling the track down. It's looking pretty good now, just needs a bit more in various places. And I also need to put all the grime over in the TMD over there. You can also see something else that's quite useful is obviously over there on the switches for your track, it's quite difficult to get them all ballasted, and you're going to always end up with a bit of cork or baseboard or whatever showing through. So if you airbrush it with the black or the roof dirt, it'll cover up the baseboard and it'll just look like it's all blending in nicely. Another one is down here somewhere. There's one. Zoom out a bit. So around that switchblade there were actually bits of baseboard and cork. Now I've sprayed it, you can't see them anymore. It all blends in and just looks oily from where the point is constantly changed and operated. So you can see this is already looking a lot better. Needs a few more oil spills. Need to let the paint dry as well, obviously. The point over here looking a lot better. And generally everything looking nice. It is all slightly wet as well at the moment, so it'll all look slightly darker than it will be when it's finally dry. But it matches the track over there, so I think it's come out pretty good. there you go, so you can see sprayed in some of the darker black, so we've got some nice oil spillages going on down here in the TMD, and I've also added the grey and finished off the weathering. Looks a lot better than the original shiny track. And you can see we've got another big oil spill on the right, because that's a platform, so loads of DMUs would be sitting in there ticking over and leaking. And then here we've got a little stabling siding, so naturally that would have a load of oil in it as well from where engines have been ticking over on standby. I think it's looking a lot better now than it did when I started. And you can see over here it all just looks a bit silver and grey. It's all a bit boring. The water's on the freeway point. That looks a lot better now, because there was a lot of unballasted stuff around here where the blades are, so I've just sprayed them up, and now it all blends in nicely. It's looking pretty good. So that's how to weather the track. It's pretty easy, to be honest, but it does do a nice improvement to the layout. So now I'll just show you a couple of shots of engines moving about and sitting in the sidings.